Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Good Sunday to you, and welcome in. We have a lot to get to for today's show, so let's send it to the architect, the visionary, Denny Barlow. Good afternoon.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Are You Smoking? And today's show is just kind of a recap of what's been going on the last couple of weeks. And I'm going to start with the poll that Seth put out for me. Oh, hold on. Someone's at the door.
I'll
sorry.
Go through the poll results. I'll go through the poll results.
God.
All right. So the poll, we had 223 responders to the poll that was, at what game mark do you think the Minnesota Wild will make a coaching change and move on from John Hines? And 40% of the responders said the 20-game mark, at or around the 20-game mark. 25% said never. So that's an interesting kind of a switch between the two, is either the 20-game mark or never. 25 games got 20%, and 30 games got 16%. Now, there were some people that said it'll happen earlier than that. There were some that said, it's not going to solve anything. There were a wide range of responses to this, and ultimately, it kind of goes back to my feelings on this. Is I know they won last night. I know they beat the very injured Vancouver Canucks, but I don't know, like that's one it's like, well, yeah, you better win that game. So great they did.
I'm back.
Yeah, so I just went through the poll results.
Can you tell me while you're going back live? Because I missed it all.
Yeah, 20% or 40% said the 20-game mark. 25% said never. 20% said 25 games, and 16% said 30 games.
I'm not on the show yet.
We're live.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that just goes to show you how smart my fans and your fans are, because I think 20 games is right on the mark. As you know, when Dino got fired, he was 5-10-4 when he got the boot. And, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a deal on Judd's in his comment section about how the team is playing, and I could see it all over again. And I'm going to say it again. The only way that a player can show dissatisfaction with his coach is not to play up to his potential. And you're seeing that time and again, every game now. And yeah, even though they beat Vancouver, as I said, 4 of their top players are out. Pretty hard to overcome that. We've had to deal with that for the last couple of years, and it's a nightmare. The real test will be Calgary. Calgary has an excellent defense, but they can't score. So that'll be the real test. Right now, I have the Wild last in the league, and for good reason. But that all can change with one change. Hines has got to go. The team is not playing the way they should be playing because they've had enough of them. And I've seen this, 3-4 times over the years. He's lost the team. And when you lose the team, you can't fire the team. Coaches are hired to be fired, and it's time for Hines to go. And as I've brought up a bunch of times, his line combinations just don't make any sense. His use of players don't make any sense. And I'll give you a couple of instances. In the overtime game, Z. Boyum was nowhere to be found. And Z. Boyum's game, he's at his best, skating up the ice, looking and creating. And when you only have 3 people in overtime, that's where you should see him the most. And you don't see him at all. And I don't understand why. I mean, Hines has his reasons, I'm sure. But that would be coaching up, giving Zeev an opportunity to prove himself. He takes that away. And I don't understand that. And same, they don't even use Yurov in the third period now. He's under 10 minutes a game. And the biggest thing about Kidd coming into the league is this two-way game for a center. And Yurov looks pretty good. For a brand new kid, I like his two-way game, and it's only going to get better. Well, when you don't play him, how do you expect him to get better? That makes no sense to me either. And moving on to the power play, they got Terrence. Last year I begged them to do the what I call Gretzky's office, and that's where they set up to play from behind the net. And they got Tarasenko back there. He's not the right guy to put back there. You want somebody who's fleet of foot, who can move side to side, using the net as protection against the defenseman, and then shooting it out to the wingers, which in this case would be Boldy and Kaprizov, which are two of, they both have excellent shots and quick release and all the good stuff. Tarasenko, all he just is pass it around. And I know Seth said something a couple shows ago about how they're picking off the passes now. Well, they're using the half wall, and they're very predictable. They're not doing anything to create chaos. And the one thing you've got to do when you got 5-on-4 is to create the chaos. I mean, you got to move the puck. And they're not doing it. And that's why you haven't seen any results in the power play. No, Jesus. 10 tries now? Where's their power play been the last 10 power plays? 0?
Well, probably right around there. I mean, it dried up pretty quick.
Yeah. And another thing they could do, instead of using Gretzky's office, is you could do what I call a 2-3 high. And it's not the umbrella. You've got 3 on the blue line, and that would be Boyum, Rossi, and I have Hartman on the wing there. Oh, excuse me. With Kaprizov and Boldy down low. And what you do, Zeev starts it out skating, and instead of passing to Rossi, he flips it over to Hartman on the other wing, and Rossi goes down the middle. And what that creates is the defensemen now have to suck in a little bit to cover Rossi. Well, by doing that, now you're creating an open lane for shots. And I've seen them do it a couple times, but they would fare so much better if they did that more often. And then you got Rossi, Boldy, and Kaprizov in front of the net, and that's a nice combination to have on the power play. But they don't do that. They're just passing around the puck, looking for the perfect play, which they're so famous for, and it's just not working. They got to get back and do. You have to create chaos on the ice, mismanage, and they're not doing it. Any thoughts from the fans on this? I'd like to hear
I want to get to the Vladimir Tarasenko burner account that said he had an awesome game. People need to just be patient. The chemistry's coming. He's a sniper, but you continue to rag on him.
Really? I'm not. I'm just going by statistics and what he's done.
That's probably more me, because I have multiple times said I'm pretty much done with that experiment.
Well, the one thing I said about Tarasenko is he still got the shot, but I judge hockey players by what they do without the puck. And either you're out there skating around trying to create chaos, or you're standing around, and that's what Tarasenko does. And I understand Tarasenko got some points in here, but look who they're playing against. They're playing against a AAA farm team now, because Vancouver's they're beat up. All the top players are hurt. So, I'm glad he got some points, but it really doesn't mean I want to see him play against a good defense. And see, like I said, Calgary's coming up, and they have an excellent defense. So we'll see what he does with that. I mean, I'm happy that he got some points, but I don't see where he's not creating anything. And as smart as he is and all the knowledge of hockey he has, he knows when he can step in and when not to. And he chooses just stand around, and that's my biggest complaint about him. Man. Maybe he changes on. Who knows? But we'll see when we play a really good team.
And I'll throw in too. He was brought in to score goals. He wasn't brought in to be good on the forecheck. He wasn't brought in to be an assist wizard. He was brought in to score goals, and 2 goals through 13 games is not enough. That's my standard.
2 goals in 13 games.
That's my standard. That's what he was brought in to do. And until he starts to pick it up, I'm going to continue to say he needs to pick it up.
Well, see, 2 goals in 13 games. What does that turn out to in 80 games? 15, 14 goals?
Yeah, that's it's not great. Let me just pull up his ESPN projection page here. He's projected for 13 goals, 38 assists, 50 total points.
Woohoo! 13 goals.
We have like 10 of those.
I have. I don't know how they can predict that stuff. I just, I'm the eye test. I'm old standard guy. But what I see from isn't enough to be a second line winger. Yeah. He hasn't shown me anything other than he's still got a quick release. But when you don't put yourself in a position to shoot, that's a big problem, especially when you're a shooter expecting to score. And, I understand the chemistry and everything, but I think 13 games is more than enough to get some chemistry. It's just all about where you position yourself. Think about players who always seem to get open. Well, the reason they're open is because they read the play and they know when to step in and when to go inside. That's how you know you're a good hockey player, because when you don't have the puck, excuse me, the beer's talking. You either have it or you don't. And with good players, they always seem to get open for a reason, because they read the play and they know where to be when the puck gets to them. When it's on the other corner and you're open on the other side, it's for a reason, because they know where to go. And Tarasenko isn't doing that at all. At least he hasn't yet. Any other comments or questions on?
I just want to put in, because there have been a few people that have said regarding coaching candidates. Looking at candidates is a nice thought, but it's 100% going to be Greg Cronin. That's just because Cronin is a similar type coach to Dean and to John Hines. I just feel very strongly that he is going to be the successor whenever John Hines gets let go. And I will note, too, we finally found this out. Hines is in the third year of a 4-year deal.
Yep.
So he's at about the point where you can start to look at moving on.
Well, the one thing that has to happen for Hines to be let go is people got to stop going to the games, and that has started. A lot of empty seats, and that's a good thing because, Craig's looking at this, and the only way that he can, he's the boss. He owns the team. He can do whatever he wants, but for him to look good and to do the right thing, he has to have a reason. And when people stop showing up to the games and you see the empty seats, that gives him the juice he needs to make a move. And I'm absolutely certain he's looking at that and saying, well, now's the time. A lot of people, and I see a lot of the podcasters on the East Coast are going, how hot is Hines, or not Hines, but how hot is Billy's seat? I say it's extremely high. His construction of the team and what he's done the last 3 years really hasn't helped the team at all. We went over this last week too, with Brazil and Gustav and all the rest. I just don't see, he picks older players that are slowing down instead of going with speed and skill. And that's not a recipe for success. His vision of a successful hockey team doesn't exist anymore. And it's quite evident. I've been preaching this for the last year and a half. And now it's coming to fruition. And I can honestly say I really believe at the 20-game mark, Cronin's coming in. And I don't, Cronin is overlooking the players, down in Iowa to see what he has to work with. And I think you're going to see a lot of changes when he comes in because he's the new coach. Nobody's going to question what he's doing as long as he uses the kids. If he has the same mentality as Hines with the vets, this team is it's going to be a complete mess for the whole year. We still have hope. It's early in the season. Well, I have hope. And there are several players out there. Seth doesn't think that trades can happen before the deadline. I disagree. That was the old way, but the game of hockey's evolved. And I can see several teams wanting to make a trade right now if it helps the team. You don't have to wait till the trade deadline. And of course, I'm going back. I really would like to get Anders Lee. His net for a presence would be, crucial for us. And he's even at 35, he's still an awesome player. And I know a lot of these players people are going to say he's too old. No, he's not. Look at how many people are old in Florida, and they just won the cup. What is the average age for Florida, Seth? Can you look that up?
Yeah, it's going to take me a second, but I can.
That's fine. Because 35, years ago, 30 was really the tipping point for a player leaving the game. But as I've said before, they train year round now. And they have their food specialists, and they got all these specialists to help them. And you're seeing a lot more players playing beyond, up to 40.
The Florida Panthers, sorry to cut you off. Their average age is 29.
29. And how many, what are their older players? I know the guy from Boston, what's he, 40?
Marchand, yeah.
Marchand. How old is he?
1 second. Brad Marchand is. Oh, you I suppose because he's away from the team, he's not listed on the official roster.
I
Dmitry
think
Kulikov is 35. Jeff Petrie is 37. Sergei Bobrovsky is 37. Marchand has got to be right in that general
I think
area.
he's 40. He's very close to 40.
He is 37.
37, yeah.
And he's leading the team in
That's
goals.
not a young team. Yeah, he's not. That's not a young team. 35 is now where the clock starts ticking. But when you keep yourself in as good a shape as hockey players do today, back in the 70s and the 80s and even up in the 90s, they used to go to camp to get into shape. Now, it's not even close to that. We had Jack Carlson on as a guest, and he was talking about they'd be in a weight room and they'd use a weight for their cigarette butt container, which I thought was just hilarious because, Tommy McCarthy, he used to smoke 2 packs a day. And up until he hurt his knee, he was one hell of a player. But that's just how it was back then. You came to camp to get into shape. Now everybody's in shape. I mean, all they do is work out 12 months of the year. So the age thing is being way overrated. At 35, you got to start looking at where you're at. Because a lot of players are playing almost up to 40. I mean, the only player I could think of back then who played at 40 was Gordie Howe. And he was an exceptional. And he even came back and he played with both his kids for the Hartford Whalers for 1 year. And I think he was like 50. But you'll never see that. I mean, he was just an exception to the rule. At any rate, any thoughts on where you see this team going?
John brings up a really good point here that I don't think has been talked about nearly enough. Billy wants tough and slow. Judd Brackett drafts small. Hines relies on veteran players. Nobody is on the same page.
You got that right. And is that John Robinson we're talking about? Because he's got a hell of a hockey mind. Yeah. Kudos. You got to shout out John because he's right on. There's no connection between what Judd Brackett picks and how they play. And that's all by design by Billy, and that's why this team is in the shape it's in. And I really try to look for good things now from the Wild. I just don't see any right now.
There are none.
I just don't. Yeah. And I really do believe you're going to see a huge change in the team once the team dismisses Hines. Because it's coming. When the seats start going empty, things change in a hurry because it's all about the money. It's a business, regardless. And Craig is going to tell him he's got to go. Whether Billy wants to or not, it really won't be his decision because it's all about the money, man. And I wanted to bring up officiating. Now, all the stuff that's going on with basketball and football and all the fixed games. Well, last week, Edmonton and Montreal had a game. Montreal had 18 penalties and Edmonton had 2. In my 60 years of watching hockey, I've never seen a disparity like that ever. I mean, it wasn't even close. Of course, the refs are trying to give Edmonton the game, of which they won.
Was that 18 individual penalties or 18 penalty minutes?
No, 18 penalties against 2. You could look it up. And Edmonton won the game, I think, 3-2.
Edmonton against Montreal had 6-5. The Oilers won. Montreal had six penalties. for 20 penalty minutes. Did they play 2 games within quick succession of each other?
Yeah, the last game they played. It was the last game they played. Maybe it was penalty minutes. Maybe I got that wrong.
It must have been penalty minutes because they've only played once this season.
Okay.
But still, big disparity.
Huge. And and I've talked about the refs before and how we got to have accountability. And that's up to the players. And I've talked about, I had a complete show about, how crooked the NHL was back in the 80s. And it hasn't changed. And hopefully, I don't know who is heading the basketball and football deal, but hopefully it's got something in hockey too, because the ref run the game. And you can see so many times where something should be called and it's not. And there's no accountability. And that's the players' fault, because they should have that in the contract. And of course they did. All they worried about was the money, not the integrity of the game. And it's their fault for getting out of hand like it is, because the officiating hasn't gotten any better this year. It was terrible last year. It was terrible the year before. And I don't see that changing, which is too bad. Any comments on that?
We'll let those file in here in a second, but
okay.
Luke says, I know we want a coaching change, but Guerin will just bring in another coach with the same philosophy. Hate saying this, but the season may be over unless there's some old guys moved out. And that's kind of the train. That's
right.
That's kind of the train of thought I've been on, is like the team is just, I'll continue to echo it. It just feels like a team that has had, there's been zero repercussions since 2021, 2022. There's been zero repercussions for bad performance for veteran players. I don't know. It feels like it kind of needs a shakeup. Like, hey, you got to pick it up or else. They just seem resigned to their fate.
Well, right now, Mojo he's got what, 4 goals?
Yeah.
Now's the perfect time to trade him. He's got a little value. And, the one thing about Mojo is in the world championships, he plays like a beast for his country. But he doesn't do anything here. Well, of course, he's got a few goals now, but we've seen this for the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden he disappears, and it is what it is. When you average 11 goals a year, you average 11 goals a year. And how he's on the second line, or even now they put him up on the first line a little bit. I just don't get it. If a kid played like him, he's down in Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Ogren. They never gave him a chance. And, they keep saying that he's not going to get a chance now. Well, he never got to prove himself. I was very big on 20 games. You got to give him. But, I've rethought that. You have to give him at least 10 games and let him know it doesn't matter what you do. You got 10 games to show what you can do. Yeah, because, when the kids come up, they're walking on tightrope, and they make one wrong move, they know they're going to Iowa. That's not how you coach up kids. You got to put them in a position to succeed. And Hines just doesn't do that.
Yeah, why would you not? Why? And I don't have anything to go off of whether these conversations happened or not. But why wouldn't your first message to those young players be, you put in all the work to make the team, all the pressure that it took to make the team. Now just go out there and play. That should be the follow-up, right?
Yep, absolutely. You got to give them some leeway. They're kids. They're going to make mistakes. I know if the veterans make a mistake, they don't get sent to Iowa.
Well, it's not a
They just keep
mistake, Denny.
playing
It's some sort of odd puck luck that
Oh, yeah.
there's nothing the veteran player could do about it. It's not a mistake.
No, of course not. That's Heinz speaking there.
But then a
Uh,
weird carom happens on a goal and it gets by Jesper Wallstedt, and the response from the coaching staff is it's a rookie mistake. We can't have those.
yeah. Well, I absolutely think Heinz is gone in 20 games. People stop going to see the games. That's when things happen.
And
And
if anybody needs an example as to that playing out and apathy setting in for a franchise, go take a peek at what's going on with the Minnesota Twins right now.
yeah, we have the worst owners in baseball, which is very unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And I don't see anybody wanting to come and play for the Twins at all because they're a joke.
Yeah.
They've run that team into the ground, and they're not done yet. Now they're talking about trading Ryan. When they
Don't question their commitment to winning, though.
Well, of course not. Propaganda. God. You know, I've been a Twins fan since '65, and I know a lot of the former Twins and have partied with them. And, they're just, they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Because, they speak for the Twins, but it is what it is. Yeah. And I see a lot of comments about how Craig is a bad owner. He's not a bad owner. He spends the money. He just doesn't have the hockey sense that maybe he should have. When he hired Billy, we're all, in God we trust Billy.
Yeah.
And now it's, oh God, what is Billy doing now? And I've been saying that for a couple of years, and it's really true. He's the president, and I'm hoping that he steps aside. And I've said this before too. Let Judd Brackett take over as the GM. And of course, we got Cronin coming in, but I would really try like hell to get Todd Nelson from Pittsburgh. I mean, look what he's done in Pittsburgh already.
Yeah.
I talked about Todd Nelson last year a lot, besides David Carl. And I checked in on Carl, and he's not going nowhere. He loves it. He doesn't have the pressure.
Wasn't it a brand new 4 or 5 year deal that he signed to?
Yeah, 5-year deal. So he's not going anywhere unless you want to buy it out. I don't think anybody does. But so we got to look at other avenues. And my top pick still is Todd Nelson. I mean, he's an assistant with Pittsburgh now, which means he's shown his wares to become a head coach. And that's who I'd be looking at for next year, because it won't happen this year.
Yeah, I would think there are a couple of different outlets you can go for a head coach. Up and comer from the AHL. That's one of the most logical ways to do it. Is somebody who has won, somebody who's proven that they can win at that level, and maybe even the ECHL or other levels as well. Or the other route that you see teams go is a top assistant.
Yep.
From a established, successful team.
That's most likely to happen. Todd Nelson is now an assistant.
Yeah.
He's assistant head coach in Pittsburgh, and Jesus, Pittsburgh's on fire. They're playing good hockey. And you got to give Todd credit for how this team has come along.
Vinny wants to know, what about John Cooper from Tampa Bay?
I love John Cooper. I think he's one of the top 5 coaches in the NHL. I would hire him in a heartbeat if he would come here. Tampa's their window has closed, really. Their what are they ranking Tampa at now? 20th. 19, somewhere in there.
Yeah, they're 5-4-2 to start the season.
Yeah, and that's only going to get worse.
Yeah. They got old fast.
Yeah. They still got Kucherov, who's just one hell of a player. He's one of the best. But they're getting old fast, and it's showing.
Yeah.
And maybe Cooper would like a chance to take the kids. We'll never know how good our kids are until we play them. Oh, excuse me. And that's been my biggest pet peeve of the management. And like John said, Judd Brackett picks the best player available, and Hines and Billy play old and slow.
Yeah.
Big disconnect there.
I really like that disconnect angle. It's not one that I had really considered previously, but it's 100% right. 100% accurate.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head, John. Any more questions or comments?
Let's
we've been talking about.
Let's go to this one from Fridley Mike. The PK has been horrible through multiple coaches. Why is it so hard to come up with something respectable? Other teams
isn't our PK coach? Hasn't he been there now? 2 years?
Yes.
That should tell you something right there.
Jack Capuano.
Yeah, Capuano. He came from Ottawa, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think they got rid of him? Yeah, but he's Billy's buddy. And that's been documented before. They're buddies. Billy runs his team like a country club. He puts in all these no trade clauses so everybody's comfortable where they're playing. And that's fine and dandy, except for this is a business bottom line. You got to look at how Vegas puts their team together. They don't give no trade clauses out, or if they do, it's very short. You look at Florida. They don't do it either. And when they put teams together, they don't use picks. They use picks to get players. And that's exactly how I would do it. I want to know what I'm trading for. And picks are always, 50-50 deal. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. Well, if you're trading for a player, you know what you got. And there's no guesswork. And that's why I like trading for a player instead of going through picks and developing them. Because you know what you have right away. And I think that's very good business. And you got to give hats off to Vegas for doing that. Florida too. Next question or comment.
Let's go to who is the bigger detriment to this Wild team right now, Hines or Billy?
Both. In my opinion, both. Because, I'm absolutely certain Billy tells Hines who to play. And I've seen instances of several times where they'll put a player in a certain position, and then Hines has to play him because he's told to, and then all of a sudden you see him down to 7-8 minutes because he doesn't want to play him. But that's the only thing he can do to show his dissatisfaction with Billy telling him what to do. But I'm pretty certain Billy tells who to play, and he has no business doing that. That's not what he's there for. But he is. And if you're not a Billy boy, you're not there. That stuff has to change because this team is like a country club, the way it's run. All these no trade clauses, well, you know what I think of them. If I don't want you playing for us, you're doing the Herbies until you say yes, I'll get traded. And, that's just the way it is because I don't believe in that no trade clause stuff. Next question or comment.
Brian says some potential candidates if Hines gets canned. Pete DeBoer. I'm just gonna read. I'm gonna read the list first, and then we can react.
Oh, okay.
Pete DeBoer, Peter Laviolette, Gerard Gallant, Todd Nelson, Jay Woodcroft, Claude Julien, John Tortorella, or Daryl Sutter?
Well, other than Todd Nelson, they've all been run out of town. And they haven't been and in fact, I was talking to a guy the other night on another podcast, and he feels for us because they were so glad to get rid of Hines in New Jersey. They say it was just a breath of fresh air. Yeah. And, DeBoer and Tortorella, they've been run out of town more times than you can think of because they just beat up their players.
Yeah.
They are what they are.
That's a good way to put it. Torts, I'm a fan of Torts to a point, but I think you summed it up perfectly. Is that he just demands, which you should demand as much as you can get from your players, but it just seems like his coaching style and his coaching tenures take a toll on the teams that he coaches, and after a while, it just gets to the point where it's like, yeah, we can't do this anymore, and then they move on from him.
And that's been his resume his whole time coaching, really.
Yeah,
it is what it is. He gets run out of town at the end. But coaches are hard to be fired, and
that's
there's
exactly right.
There's something to be said about bringing in a coach like that to get your team right, but it never lasts. So, but Todd Nelson, I was really high and really pushed for Nelson to get hired last year, as you know, Seth. And look what he's doing in Pittsburgh. Oh, I love it because I could see him being our head coach next year.
Yeah, we expected that. We expected that Pittsburgh was going to be in the toilet.
Yeah. Now they're in top 10. That's all coaching because they basically have the same players except Brazeau. They got their kids that they're putting in, but they're using them the right way.
Yeah.
When Billy traded for Brazeau, Brazeau's a shooter. And he had scored in like 10 games for Boston when they traded for him. And they used Brazeau here as a shutdown kind of heavy hitter type of player. And that's not what he is. And quite evident because he didn't do anything. And you look at what he's doing with Pittsburgh, they're playing him to his strengths. And that's a sign of good coaching. Next question.
If we can get rid of Spurgeon, should we go after Desjardins to get some size and grit on the back ends?
Well, I know nobody's going to want to listen to this, but I'm going to tell you right now. Spurgeon just didn't become bad overnight. The strengths that Spurgeon has, number one, his outlet pass is the best on the team for defense. Yeah, I know he's not a big defenseman, but he makes up for it in so many ways. He breaks up more 2-on-1 passes than you can realize because they don't keep track of that stuff. I think Spurgeon has had enough of Hines. Same with Brodin. I mean, all these players are just tired of playing for Hines. And the only thing they can do is stop playing, and that's what they've done. I absolutely guarantee you, when we get a new coach, you're going to see a whole new Spurgeon and Brodin. Which brings me up to another thing that Hines is doing that I really don't like. They split up Faber and Middleton. The last 2 years, they were excellent together. You saw Middleton starting to take chances and developing his game and knowing when to pitch. He's lost out there now because he doesn't know what to do. You have to put Middleton back with Faber. And, at the beginning of the season, I really like the thought of putting Spurgeon and Brodeen with the kids, which they have done.
Yeah.
But putting Middleton down on the third line, that's ridiculous. He needs to be first line with Faber because they were great for 2 years. Now Middleton, he's a little lost, and that's poor coaching. They need to put him back up on the top line and let him play because I don't know what you thought of his play for the last 2 years, but he did nothing but get better and better. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the goals he got. He never did that when he was with San Jose. He did that here playing with Faber. And then they split him up. That makes no sense to me. That's another thing I don't understand what Hines is doing. There's just too many things that he's not doing right. Now let's move on. I don't want to talk about it. I've talked about it enough. Next.
This is a good one. How long until the fans turn on the league's highest paid player who definitely did not leave any money on the table to help the team?
Oh, he could have asked for $20 million. Believe me, they would have given it to him. Kaprizov is in the same mode as everybody else. They are tired of Hines. And he's got what, 13, 14 points, 15? 13 points, I think. He's not playing the best he can play. Nobody is. But that's the only way the players can express their displeasure with Hines. They're tired of him. They don't want to play for him. And Kaprizov is a great example. He just didn't suddenly get worse. He's just, lollygagging a little bit because he can. The only way you're going to see this team improve, and I've said it 100 times, Hines has to go. He's lost the team, bottom line. And I think Billy should be right next to him out the door because, as John brought up, there's a big disconnect between picking players and playing the players. And John couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
And it's really true. Because I guarantee you, we are getting a new coach because you're seeing the empty seats in the stands, and that's the biggest thing. And that has to continue to happen because it's all about the money in the end. It's a business. And when Greg sees empty seats, he's not happy. That's why I think at 20, we're going to see a move. Then all of a sudden, you're going to see our star players playing like stars again. Because nobody's putting out the effort like they used to. And, but that's the only way they can say they're tired of Hines. Right? Look at when Mike Yeo got canned. Look when Dino got canned. I've seen this, a lot of times. When the players stop playing for you, you know it's time. And it is time. Next.
Who, in your opinion, is consistently playing well this season?
Nobody. There's nobody on this team that's playing consistently well. And that's all by design. I'm sure the players have all talked backdoor about what they have to do. I wish I could get Jack back on to talk about what they did when they were not happy with the coaching. Because we've talked about it before. Nothing's changed. The only thing the players can do is they don't put 100% into it. 80% maybe.
Not 80%.
Well, a lot of players aren't even 80% now.
They're putting about 10.
Foligno,
putting about 10% in.
Yeah. Foligno and Hartman just didn't go bad all of a sudden. You're going to see a big turnaround, or what I call a reset, when things change. You're going to see them going back to being who they should be. When Hines put Foligno up on the second line, Foligno knows he shouldn't be on the second line. He's got hands of stone. He's a great third line grinder and a shutdown. And that's what he's good at. That's what he's comfortable with. And that's what he should be doing. But it's past that point now. All I could say is you're going to see a much better team when Hines is gone. And we still need a couple players. And did I give out the list already?
No.
Well, let's go with the list now. I got Kadri from Calgary, Adrian Kempe, who I really like. Of course, Alex Tuck, who's all the rage right now, and all the rest of the sport podcast people. Anders Lee, who I hope we could get, because he's the last year of his contract would be an easy get. He would really help our team. Morgan Geekie from Boston, who's fallen out of favor there, but I like his play. And then Stamkos is available now. If Nashville wants to take on half the contract, I could see that as being a benefit to us too. And then Pajot from the Islanders. He's a good center who has fallen out of favor. And the Islanders, he could help us too. I mean, we could get a couple of players that would absolutely help our team right now. And until they bring up Ogren and play him with Yerov and Height on the second line, have the kid line, let them play 10 games to see what we have, then we can make some trades. Maybe we don't need to make any trades. Maybe everything falls into place. But you don't know until you play them, and they're not playing them, and they're not going to play them. That's another reason why he has to go.
Well, and I would even, if a coach doesn't want to play a full line of rookies together, that would be about the one argument that I could say, okay, I can hear that out. But you can still get them in the lineup and not in a fourth line role. There are 3 other lines in a lineup in which you could put them to where they can get some actual ice time. Like, Yurov sat for a quote-unquote breather against Vancouver because they wanted to get Ben Jones into the game for face-off help. Did Ben Jones have a shot on goal?
Sense.
No. He did go 6 of 9 in the face-off circle, which awesome, but no shots on goal. Didn't do anything that could impact any sort of offense. So again, as they just continue to do, we don't need to try to solve the scoring problem. We're just going to continue to double down on being gritty, defensive, and all that other jargon. Like, get with the times.
Absolutely. Can you look up what Yurov's face-off percentages?
Yes. Let me go to this page. My computer's being unbearably slow today, so apologies for that. But Danil Yurov, he is a 38.5 in the face-off circle, but that's in 52 attempts.
Yeah, which isn't nothing. Wow. Because, he had a couple of games where he was, 7 out of 8 or 6 out of 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where he was looking pretty good. But, when you're stuck down on the fourth line, in Hines' fourth line, that's a kiss of death. They don't play him in the third period now. I mean, I don't understand it. He plays a good two-way game, and he can move the puck. Why he's not, when they don't play him in the third period, that is takes away the kids' confidence, number one. And the whole thing about coaching kids is coaching up, and that's giving them confidence, and that's putting them in a position to be successful. and Hines is not doing that.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's just there just seems to be no sort of inkling as to let's put these young kids, let's take the things that these young kids do and try to maximize it as part of our lineup. No, it's just, oh, we need a third line defenseman tonight. Well, here you got one. Oh, I sure hope he doesn't make any mistakes that lead to goals, because we might not be able to overcome that.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Folks, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to apologize to you in advance, because I have definitely hit the point in the season where I just am I am a little fed up with what we have seen, and so there's a high chance that a lot of what is done with Locked On Wild over the next few weeks is going to be overtly pessimistic, but I don't see anything to suggest that that's not the right route to take. So until I do, that's what we're going with.
Well, you just call it the way you see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and you look at what Hines is doing. It makes no sense to me. It's never made any sense to me. And no, his seat is very high. Yeah. In fact, I think it's on fire.
And you can attest to this too. I was one of the people that held serve on directing heat at Billy for the longest. Like, I was not in a position to put any heat, but the house is on fire, folks. Like, the house is burning, and John Hines and Bill Guerin are sitting in the kitchen. Like,
are you smelling something?
What's that smell? This 1980s TV that's in the living room works great. The picture is black and white, but at least we can watch our favorite shows from 30 years ago.
Oh, God, I love it. That's so good, Seth. Now, when the season started, and this has been pointed out to me a lot of times when I talked about the Wild upcoming, and Seth was grimacing the first show when I was talking about what I thought of the Wild. And now look at the transformation. He's smiling. And that's a good thing, because a lot of the fans pointed out that you were not happy with the way I was talking about the Wild. But you know what? Everybody has their own opinions, and that's fine. I mean, I get beat up a lot, which I talked about the last show. But how much of, a lot of people call me a hack and tell me I don't know anything about hockey when I said all that. But where are you now? I mean, everything I said came true. So
my frustration came from that. No, my frustration came from it being game 2 of the season. And I just, the reason is because I'm in this for the full 82. And I usually like to try to just hold off as long as possible. However, this year, that long as possible has already ended.
Didn't last long. Well, I just call it the way I see it. And that's the way I saw it. And whether you liked it or not, that's just, I tell you how I see the game. That's it. You don't have to agree with me. And a lot of you didn't, and that's fine. And I have to say, I am so happy that I had 127 comments on that show. That's awesome. And now all I got to tell you, I've been going through a rough patch here with finances and, the shutdown and all the good stuff. And Bob Hoyce came to visit me yesterday and bought me a bag of groceries. And you don't know how much that means to me. I mean, how many fans would actually do that? And he did. He came. We spent the afternoon together talking hockey, eating pizza, and talking shit. And, hey, it's awesome. Thank you, Bob.
I really do appreciate it. Because, things are tough right now. At least I am not homeless, and that's the biggest thing. And with that, I think we should end the show. And I'm trying to think who should get the "What the hell are you smoking?" Well, I got to go back to Hines and Billy again. I just don't see anything else. So Billy and Hines, you both get the "What the hell are you smoking?" again. And we'll see you next Sunday, folks. Thanks for checking in. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.